hair loss. You know it sucks. So why not join the boys to bitch about it? Call in now to speak with Spencer and Spex. 0203-3724-683. This is The Bald Truth UK.
So yeah, I've been seeing quite a trend after speaking with various people of late, kind of high-profile people, especially journalists, that have been kind of informing me how they've been contacted by hair transplant clinics, especially over here in the UK, with regards to the hair transplant clinic offering them kind of hair transplant surgery for free for kind of exposure, a write-up, an article. And I find it quite interesting when I speak to these people, how obviously it strikes me that the clinics are in desperate need of kind of the publicity rather than the hair transplant patient needing them, you know. So and I read a brief article on the GQ grooming section with regards to a guy that went to Bosley recently. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. You know, first of all, you know, it is interesting. I think because of the, you know, tremendous importance of social media and the fact that, you know, now if you do get some mainstream media, you're able to really utilize that and play on that, you know, throughout all of your social media and get it out there in a way where it's not just, okay, we were in this magazine, we're going to put this on our website. Now we can post it on our Facebook page and tweet it and Instagram it and all that stuff, so they get so much more play than they ever did before. So
indeed. But don't you find it's just the same stuff regurgitated? You know, it's just the same guy, another guy having a hair transplant, and they'll notoriously do like a before picture and then a 4 months after picture, and then you don't actually end up seeing the final result. It's just an initial flash in the pan that then they utilize via all the social media networks. You're right.
Well, first of all, for the most part, it's bullshit in my view. You know, I read this article on GQ and this latest article, and the title is "The Great Anti-Baldness Experiment," and it's written by a guy who, you know, I think his results were pretty good. I'm not going to put the guy's name out there. I mean, it's out there anyway, but I think the results are pretty good. But you know, the way that he explains his situation, the way that he explains surgical hair restoration, the way that he explains the way society looks at surgical hair restoration and baldness in general, is so contrived and so just, you know, media generic that, yeah, you know, in a way I think it's great that people are seeing that state-of-the-art surgical hair restoration can really change lives. However, he wasn't necessarily talking about state-of-the-art surgical hair restoration. In my view, he didn't go to a group that is currently performing. I mean, Bosley's doing a much better job than they ever have. There's no doubt that they've definitely caught up, and they're getting much better results. But as far as doing consistently state-of-the-art work, I mean, I think some experts in the field would say that's questionable.
Well, I agree with a previous comment that you made. Bosley, I have first-hand experience with Bosley from the year 2000 through to 2002. So, and I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah, but those were in all honesty, those were the dark ages of Bosley.
Yeah, they were the dark ages of Bosley. And the point that I'm about to make is a point that you made clear there, is that Bosley have had to change their game, change their protocols, and ultimately provide a much, much higher, better level of service because of the nature of the internet, right, whereby nobody can hide and results are documented and patients are, sharing their information freely. And I think that put a lot of pressure on these chain clinics. Now, questionable with regards to state of the art. Now, for the layman who's reading that article for the first time would not question it.
Of course.
It's in GQ. It's in GQ. It must be legit. And not saying that Bosley aren't doing good work now compared to what they were doing. I've not seen their work of late. However,
I will say the doctor that performed this work in general, Suttleson and his team in Los Angeles, I would say, are doing pretty good work now. There's no doubt about it. I mean, to the level of a lot of guys who are very well respected. The cases aren't huge. They're kind of smaller to medium-sized cases, but it's you would be pleasantly surprised to see the evolution of Bosley?
Well, it's not a company, it's not a name that we see regularly discussed on the forums. Now, I don't reside on the forums anywhere near as much as I used to. I proofread it, and I'm kind of, just take little bits and go away. However, what I think we have realized is I think people that do their due diligence and do their research, and they end up on forums like the Bald Truth Talk, will see that if Bosley is mentioned, then it's soon kind of closed down by the forum veterans who've been there, done it, worn the T-shirt, and not necessarily in a damning way. It says, look, guys, do your research. There's a lot better potential clinics out there in their opinion, and I think that's why we don't see a lot of Bosley and the big chain clinics mentioned on the forums, because they don't get a chance to get a word in edgeways, and I've not seen any guys documenting any results from there. You see guys notoriously documenting results from the tried and tested guys, that are in the IHRS, and it's a case of the generic public who aren't going to find the forums, who aren't going to be able to really scratch the surface, or don't want to, and they want to take it as read, because it's in GQ magazine. They'll end up possibly going for a consultation with Bosley, and they'll probably believe what they're going to hear via the various sales consultants that are there. But I hope that, anybody that's, I believe in this day and age now, with the internet and the information that's so readily available, I think it's important to understand that not everything that you read in these magazines, especially with a piece like that is just such generic kind of, regurgitated stuff. It's the stuff that we've read over and over and over again. And there's nothing really of any kind of, weight to it, in my opinion. And I hope that the guys that are reading it then decide to just scratch the surface a little further and end up finding the forum, because it will make their lives a lot easier in the long run. And one point I'd like to kind of make with regards to this article is the pictures aren't necessarily that clear. We're not seeing clear before.
They're not clear at all, actually.
On various different angles in comparative lighting. It's a little bit kind of deceptive. The way his hair's a lot longer, the lighting's a little different, and that's a classic kind of big chain kind of before and after shots, rather than guys that are documenting their results. Doctors that are documenting their results on the Bold Truth Talk are clearly showing clear before and afters from various different positions, various different angles.
Well, he has two different haircuts. I mean, right there, you see the angle. If he would have grown out his front tuft a little bit more, it would appear to be fuller anyway.
Exactly. So that's the point I'm making. It's like, it's not necessarily a clear home run, in my opinion. So again, a little bit deceptive, but also just going back to the point that I made initially is these guys, these clinics that are basically using this as an opportunity as a PR kind of campaign, is they are going to put their absolute all their resources into it. They need it to be the best result possible. So they're not necessarily going to be giving this guy or the average guy that comes in off the street the same level of work, in my opinion, as the guy that they're using for this promotional piece. And they'll also possibly be paying this guy. Well, I know for a fact they'll probably be giving it for free. And the more high profile these people get, I know high profile people that have actually been paid thousands of pounds to actually have their hair transplant with the clinic, to then go on and expose the clinic in the newspaper. So it's not a clear indication of what is necessarily achievable by this particular clinic, because like I said, they're going to be using their absolute best. They need this guy to be a home run.
But it's also, and when you say that, it's also not a clear indication that the celebrity chose this clinic based on the fact that the clinic was the best choice.
No, who's going to pay them the most?
That's exactly it, because they're not doing their due diligence. Their PR people don't understand what's really going on in the industry. They think a doctor is a doctor, and they're like, hey, wait a second. This guy is offering you a free hair transplant, or they're offering to pay you to provide you with this service that, the hair transplant that, is probably something you want anyway. So let's take advantage of that. So, of course, they're going to say this is the best clinic.